यो विप्रलंभ विपरीत मति प्रभूत वादान निरस्य कृतवान भुवि भक्ति योगम सर्वेश्वरो हरिरिति प्रतिपादयन्तम आनंद तीर्थ मुनिवर्यम अहम नमामि. Now we are starting with a series of Indology review lectures. Today Professor Bill Mack from China will deliver a lecture on Spujidhvaja's Yavana Jataka and its antiquity. Our plan is to have a big series where notable and contemporary Indological works are critically reviewed and their real natures are shown to the common man. So the people will be disgusted with the name of Indology. Not to demerit in its entirety, but where it deserves notoriety, then we need to show it. So we are having the lecture series, 12 lecture series sponsored by ICP, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, under its project study circle, philosophy study circle. Most of the Indological lectures will be centering around the philosophy, where the Indological works on different philosophies will be reviewed by renowned scholars. And we are planning to have a one-day seminar, national seminar on March 24th, again to involve young scholars who are working in different philosophies. So these scholars, they will be delivering the reviews of Indological works, different schools of Indology, different works, different schools of Indian philosophy, where Indology has reviewed or shown its own critical analysis of these different schools of Indian philosophies. So these two things apart, the lecture series, 12 lecture series, and the Indological review of Indology seminar, we had organized a panel on review of Indology in the All India Oriental Conference, 51st All India Oriental Conference at Udupi, where many scholars, they have expressed their own opinion and all other things. Before that, we had organized Dispassionate Churning of Indology, an international seminar in Udupi in 2019, where many scholars, they assembled from different corners of the world and they critically reviewed these things. Before that, we have established the Bharati Vidvat Parishad to raise the standards of Indian studies, Shastra studies, so our youngsters will be able to have first-hand understanding of the happenings around the world in the different Indological circles around the world. So it is a structured program, though it has not gone in a very structured way or not been very highly fruitful, but still we are working in this way. And of course, not to forget our own work on the Rigveda commentary, where we are reviewing all the works of Stephanie James and Joel Brereton, the Rigveda's newest English translation of the Rigveda. We have reviewed there, and also we will be reviewing all these things. Despite my own writings on philosophy of Madhvacharya, where I have criticized many people, so it is very apt that we need to give a good introduction to the Indology. It is mainly aimed at the newly appointed scholars of Poornaprajna Samshodhana Mandiram working on different projects, and also our sister organization, Vishweshtirtha Samshodhana Kendra. Poornaprajna Samshodhana Mandiram and our sister organization, Vishweshtirtha Samshodhana Kendra, and all our PhD scholars who are working on their PhD. So I welcome all of you to this great occasion, to the introduction of Indology lecture series. I welcome Professor MDS, who has arrived just now. He is a great scholar of mathematics and Indian School of Mathematics, and also the physics, and he is well versed in Shastrik or Indian mathematics. More importantly, that was his great contribution to the Shastras. And Professor R.N. Iyengar, my own guru, he will be coming soon. And we have Professor Ramakrishna Pejattaya, who is heading the Department of IKS in Chanakya University. And all our scholars, our Deputy Director Rangnath Acharya Katti, my own guru, and all our colleagues. Many still are missing, so I request all of you to call them soon, because it is very important. We need to understand the things correctly. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ರಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ MD ಸರಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೀರಿಗೆ ತರಿಸ್ರಿ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸೀದಾ ಬಂದಂಗಿದೆ ಅವರು. ಚಹಾ ಏನಾದ್ರು ತರಿಸ್ರಿ. So what is Indology? Now we are going to review Indology, means we should understand what is Indology. Indology is a study of India. Study of India. I don't know how these people, they derive logy. What is the meaning of logy? Logos. Knowledge, and this philosophy and theosophy, like that, it is also one word. And it is the knowledge of India. Whereas we are in India, we people in India, we know what is India by birth, by our genes, by our previous lives. Because we are living in India, we are again and again being born in India, we know what is India. So there is no need to understand what is India for us. We know how people behave and what Shastras and all other things we know very much clearly. Whereas these Western people, they are very new to this nation. That's why they called it as the study of India. That is called as Indology. It is first time, of course, there has been a very great interaction between India and the Europe, at least for the last 2,500 years from the time of Aristotle and Socrates. There have been mercantile interactions between people and people. They used to come here, and Alexander came here and he brought many people. He or kidnapped many people from here to Greece to teach philosophy, and all other things are there. But despite all these things, the relations or the interactions, they came to nil around 10th century. Then these Arabs, they became very stronger, and all the interactions have been through the Arab nations, and that's why there was no direct maritime ways to India, at least in the 15th century, 14th century, where Christopher Columbus entered India. Then these European people, they entered India the Portuguese, Dutch, and all other people, they came, and finally these English people, they came here and they captured India, many parts of India. So when they captured India, they had to naturally rule and do some kind of arrangements for the courts and all other things. So naturally they had to understand what is the way the Indian people live. The law of India, the laws of inheritance, and the laws of marriage and all other things, they had to understand. And it was the first time that William Jones, he started learning Sanskrita in Calcutta with one Ram Prasad or someone else, and with that was in 1781. He was appointed as the Chief Justice of Court of Calcutta, High Court of Calcutta, and he started. He was appointed as the judge, so he has to, and he faced many difficulties in dealing with the rules of the land. Many pandits who were appointed in the courts, they used to have different opinions on the different matters. On the same matter, they used to have different opinions. So this judge was baffled by the different interpretations. He decided he will plunge into the water, and he decided to learn the Sanskrit language, and he started translating the Manusmriti and all other things. That's why this Indology, it came into existence. Though it was not at the time it was called Indology, but he established the Royal Asiatic Society in Calcutta, and Sanskrit College was established in Calcutta around 1821. But himself, he translated many texts into which language? Not in English. Maybe where he translated into English, the Shakuntala and many other things. But before also there were some translations into Latin. The Upanishads and some other texts were translated into Latin. But the translation of Sanskrit works into English started with William Jones and all of the many people, William Jones and the H.H. Wilson and this Max Muller and many people, they started learning Sanskrita in different ways, and they succeeded in bringing out the editions and translations of different works of Sanskrit literature. This whole study of Sanskrit literature and later the language of the states, maybe Hindi and Gujarati and Bengali and all other things, this area is called as Indology, Indological studies. The studies related with the Indian languages, Indian culture, Indian history, this is called as Indology. At the beginning, they were more concerned with poetry and law, though they were not very much concerned with Shastras. But now they have been shifted into the different areas of Sanskrit literature, and they started learning different Shastras and translating the works of Sanskrit Shastras. That has become the norm. So there are three different phases of Indology. From 1781 to 1947, pre-independence era, where our scholars, they had to accept whatever was written by the Western scholars, because these people were afraid of the Western power or the hegemony of the Western rulers. The Indians were ruled by the British at the time. So most of our people, they were not worried about to criticize or understand what these people have written. Though Indian people, they slowly started learning English and all other things, because though this Indology was started from 1781. Our Indian people, they were not really well versed in English. Not most of the people. Of course, some of the people were there in Calcutta, Bombay, who had the chance of learning English and understanding what these people wrote, but their focus was on the business rather than anything else. So they were not worried about what these Western scholars are writing. And from 1835, the laws of Macaulay were implemented in India. So the English became the language of masses. English education was enforced on the Indian people. So many people, they started learning English, and universities were established in India in 1857. Calcutta University, Madras University, and Bombay University, they were established, and it is the problem of opportunities. The opportunities are not problem, but it is the problem of opportunities. Many Indian scholars, sons of Indian scholars, and many well-to-do Indians, they started learning English language for the opportunities. Though people like us or our forefathers, they did not worry about learning English till the beginning of the last century. Many progressive are the people who are in touch with this English educationists or in the business centers, they started learning English. So, but their focus, and many scholars were also there, like R.G. Bhandarkar and all other people who read both Sanskrit and English, but they did not criticize or they did not review this Indology because of their proximity with the Western powers, something like that. But by the beginning of the last century, from 1900 onwards, ordinary Indians had to be learned in English, because all the interactions in the court and all other things were happening, and these people were educated in English also. They slowly started learning English. So many Sanskrit scholars, good Sanskrit scholars, highly learned, Mahamahopadhyaya and all other people, they were all acquainted with the working knowledge of English, at least, if not with the Wordsworth or Shakespeare in English, but they had the acquaintance of English, but they did not write much more about the Indological writings till 1947. And from the 47, with the independence, still all our things, it did not change. The things, they continued as usual before the independent era, in pre-independence era. But everything changed from 1991. It is the third phase of Indology. With the advent of Swarajya, the concept of Swarajya, Ram Janmabhoomi movement, and with the computers, especially the evolution of computers, availability of computers from 1991, and from around 1999, internet was greatly available to masses of India. So people, they started understanding what these Western people have written, and now they started worrying about what these people are doing. That's why people like us in the last 25 years or 30 years, though even before the advent of this third phase of Indology, we were all concerned, because I remember myself, our Pujya Pejawar Swamiji, he had told us to understand what these Western people have written, And it was desire of my own master Vidyamanya Tirtha, who wanted us to review the Western writings on the Vedas, and himself he had ordered me to learn English for that purpose. So these people, but the internet came, and with the evolution of all these things, we got more and more acquaintance with the Western Indology. So we started criticizing all these things. So it got into the third era where we are having battle for Sanskrit and third independence war, or whatever we can call. But now Indology stands on a very strong foot. Before, people used to criticize Indology. As the shloka is there, we can index pandita kechit catalog pandita reading panditaschanne content tadnyastu durlabha. K.D. Pandurangi used to say, my own teacher K.D. Pandurangi used to quote it because he was well acquainted with Indology. Many of Western students, they came to study with him. So he was not unaware of the things in the West, but things have started changing in the last 20, 30 years. People, our own Shastric people, our own Acharyas and our teachers, our more not well acquainted teachers, they used to laugh at the Indology because nobody knows. Everybody sees apparent things and superficial things, and they write on the superficial things. Whatever they write, it is not a good thing. It is what they used to dismiss. That's why our people, they did not venture into understand or criticize what these Western people are doing. That was the problem. But with the changing times, we are all now understanding what is happening. And with their Europeans' main concern was, first time this William Jones and H.H. Wilson, all they saw, but it is mainly about the William Jones, who saw the similarity between the Sanskrit language and European languages. It was the starting point. There is some similarity between European languages and Sanskrit. So he was very worried about this similarity, how it happened, because the area is very vast. India is here and Europe is there. How these two languages can have same words elsewhere? So they developed a theory called Aryan invasion theory and Proto-Indo-European language theory. They called it. There was a long ago, these people, the forefathers of our Indian people and Western people, European people, they used to live in a place around Turkey, and they had the common language. And many people, they migrated to the West Europe, and many people, they migrated to the Iran and India. So the Iran and Indian people, they have this Iranian Persian language, which is also very similar, the language of Zarathustra, Jandavesta, and Sanskrit. They are all very similar. Whereas another branch of the same Proto-Indo-European language, it went to Europe and the Latin and all other German, French and English. It was the idea. It was the idea without much base. So they had devised a theory of Aryan invasion also. Aryan people, they lived there and they came into India. They brought the Sanskrit language. They were all outsiders of India. They were not natives of India. It was the idea. And they wanted to, because of this similarity, they wanted to study Vedas, how these Vedas, how these Vedas, they have evolved in different ways, different shakas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads. and also the Samhitas mostly. They have studied these things, and they interpreted these Vedas in their own way to suit their theories. To suit their theories that Aryans came from outside. They were all pastoralists. The people who just cowherds and all other people, they had no permanent base. They were moving from one place to another place. Like that, they had their own notions. So to suit all these theories, they have translated and misinterpreted the Indian texts, and they succeeded in making Indian people believe what they wrote. That is the biggest mistake, because by the time 1850s, most of the Indian people were familiar with Sanskrit. Indian people, they had no understanding of Sanskrit. They were all divided into different Indian languages, and English was the medium. They had to be educated. They were educated. So whatever that was available to them in English, people started believing in the writings of Western scholars. That is the problem. Whereas Indian scholars, primarily Sanskrit scholars, they did not bother to spread or propound or propagate the theories in local languages around 1850. ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಬಿಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅವರು. ಓಕೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. So India was attacked by many people. Muslims, they attacked India. Buddhas, they attacked India. Though they were all native to the India, but still they attacked Sanatana Dharma, Vedic philosophy. ಕೂಡಿಸ್ರಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ. Nobody succeeded in making our Indian people in believing the Western theories, because they all criticized Indian Shastras from outside, not from inside. Whereas these Western scholars, they entered the Shastras, they interpreted Shastras, they interpreted Vedas, they interpreted different Puranas to suit their own theories. Hence, what became at the beginning of this century, and most of our people, they believe what Western Indologists say. Okay. For example, I will show yesterday's example. Yesterday, one person, he sent me a WhatsApp message, whereas one, I don't know his real nature, real name, but he is called as Shankru Ashoka. Do you see it? Light ಆರಿಸಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ. It is one Shankru Ashoka. I don't know what is his name, but it is his Facebook post. ಬೌದ್ಧ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ವಾಚಾರ್ಯರ ವೈಫಲ್ಯಗಳು ಒಂದು ಸಮಗ್ರ ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆ. It must be a book he must have written, or I don't know whether he bothered to study the original sources or not. But at the end of his post there, he claimed Adhara Grantha, Aikehata, Koreto, the Madhva school's understanding of Buddhism. It is there what is his source of his criticism? It is not his own study. This Shankara Ashoka, he did not bother to go to the sources, what Madhvacharya has written and how it is wrong. But instead, he is going to be based on the one Japanese scholars, Aikehata Koreto, the Madhva schools of understanding of Buddhism. Okay. So yesterday it came to light. Somebody sent me this WhatsApp message. And this person, Madhvacharya's understanding of Buddhism itself is totally wrong. It is what they claim. Before seeing this full post, I replied him, this is not the first time these people are attacking. It is all borrowing from the Western writings. This criticism is not the first-hand research of the person. It is borrowing from the Western writings. Because most of the Indian scholars, most of the leftist scholars, most of the, what I can say, people, they are not worried to study texts. They don't study texts. They don't study Sanskrit. If they want to criticize Madhvacharya, they have to study whole Madhvacharya's texts. There are 37 texts are there. They have to study Madhvacharya's texts properly. Then they have to go to the Buddhist texts, which are all available. So you don't go for the translation. You study them in original, understand them, and criticize them. But most of the Indian people, I don't know, I don't understand, I don't know whether he is a scholar or, I don't know. But these people, they borrow from something from the West and just they cut and paste. Now there is allegation that Madhvacharya is he is not understanding Buddhism properly. This is the, immediately I found that the original of this article, it is there. Madhva School's Understanding of Buddhism on the statement of Madhvas and Jaitirthan Brahma Sutra 2 to 18 and 32. It is by Ikehata Koreto. Where it is published? It is published in the Journal of Indian and Buddhist Studies, somewhere else in the West Europe, where they claim they have expertise in understanding Buddhism and also Madhvacharya's study. What these European people they do is, this Ikehata, I don't know whether he had come to India or not, but it is the trend that these people they study up to MA, BA, MA in some European university, and they want to have a study of, one person wants to study Dvaita, and another person wants to study Advaita, and if person wants to study Dvaita, directly he will land in Poornaprajna Vidyapitha and find Dr. Srinidhi Patti to teach him some Dvaita texts, and with Hacha and Podge, he will understand whatever he will understand, and he will start writing anything, whatever he wants in about Dvaitaism. This is what happened. This has happened in India, and it is same case. One person he will land in the front of Mani Dravida's house in Chennai, and Mani Dravida Shastri will agree, I will teach you Advaita Vedanta, and whatever he understands Advaita, and he will start writing Advaita. The same about Vishishta Advaita, Vallabhacharya, Nimbarkacharya, and everything else. These people, they don't bother to mention the person who taught them. This is the irony. Fritz Stahl is a scholar who wrote on many things. He is considered as a very great researcher in America, US. He has written about Agni Chain and all other things, and he is deemed to be a scholar of many things. And he said in his CV, it is mentioned, he went to Banaras to study with some Pandit and became scholar of Nyaya and Mimamsa. It is available in his CV. You can see it is available in the internet. How it is possible that you go and study with some scholar and he has been trained in methodology, rigorous methodology, not to miss one single letter in the bibliography, but he misses the name of the scholar. It means it is great thing. It is same thing that happened with the Dvaita teachings also. One person who is called as Robert Jaidam Bose, he is from Netherlands. This Robert Jaidam Bose from Netherlands. I don't know how these people they get interest in this or that particular study, but it is all God's Leela. And this Indological writings are also God's Leela only, nothing more. And as far as we have understand from Bhagavata, it is all Maya, nothing else is there. So why it is happening? We can say it is all happening because of the Maya of the God. There is no other particular reason. This Robert Jaidam Bose, he studied Jainism and he wanted to explore India. And he came to India. Where to go to India? Where? What is the place in India where he has to study? Unfortunately, he landed in Udupi with Bananja Govindacharya's doorstep. And Bananja Govindacharya taught him. And this Bananja Govindacharya was so misled by this person. And Govindacharya, I am not criticizing or I am not overstating the fact. It is the fact. I have heard from Bananja Govindacharya's mouth that this Robert Jaidam Bose is a Brahmana from the Netherlands, from the Kelagina Nadu, what he says, what he used to say. Netherlands means it is something very downward nation. Netherlands is little bit downward in the, it is below the sea, not of course below the sea level. So it is called as Netherlands, but himself he called, I am the Brahmana from the Netherlands. And he used to teach him, and he used to claim that Robert Jaidam Bose understood Madhvacharya very well. Robert Jaidam Bose understood Madhvacharya very well. It is what Bananja Govindacharya claimed in front of all the people. And he said, this Robert Jaidam Bose, he did not need commentaries to study Madhvacharya. It was the claim. But what happened at the end is, this Robert Jaidam Bose, he wrote an article on the Jain influence on the Dvaita Vedanta. He said, Dvaita's theories are influenced by the Jainism. Madhvacharya's theory of Kevala Pramana and Trividha Jiva and all other things, they are all based on, influenced by the Jainism. It is what he wrote. And I had to refute this thing. Bananja Govindacharya did not bother to do it. It is all published in our 12th World Conference proceedings, or the special 12th Sanskrit World Conference volume of Samskrita Vimarsha, where he claimed, I am ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದರೆ ಹೆಸರು ನೆಲೆಸೋಣಂತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ಅವರು ಚಹಾ ಏನಾದರೂ. So all these writings are published in India. In the same manner, there is a scholar called Roque Mosquita, who was from Goa basically, but himself he wrote many works which claimed that all the quotations of Madhvacharya are fictitious. They have no base. It is all Madhvacharya himself created his own quotations and he quoted them as like from the other great works. What is his base? No base, nothing else. It is all aneka chitta vibhrantaha mohajala samakulaha. It is the thing. It is the Indology. But I don't mean that all the works of Indological writers are same. Some of them are doing very good things, like Michael Williams, who studied Nyayamrita, and he came to here my house also. I taught him Tarkatandva, and he studied Tarkatandva in some Ishwarada. He has translated, and all other things are happening. I welcome people to study works thoroughly, and they can write anything. But if they don't bother to study and criticize without any base, then what will happen is this thing. We had to write a book. Okay, just I will show and I will finish it now, because there are many things to be shown, but we will finish here. So what will happen at the end? Many Dvaita scholars, we came together to write this work, but it is not yet published. We were so much busy with many other things. So it is still lying unpublished for the last 5 years. When Western Indologists, they get it wrong, such works will be there. So I request all my Western Indologists to be beware of the situation, study properly, write responsibly, not to discredit Indian studies. It is my request, where I need to show many of other things. And there was so I will finish my lecture with one cautious word. So what is Indology? Indology is a study of Indian language, culture and heritage. Not only the study of Indian language and heritage, it is from the Western perspective. That is the Indology. So if we study Indian language history, it does not become Indology, because it is not from the Western perspective. It is from our own perspective, our own heritage, from the inside. We are as insiders, we are writing it. That's why it does not become Indology. So if anybody wants to make Swadeshi Indology, it does not make sense, and Swadeshi Indology has died also. Some of the books, they were published there. Western Indology, Swadeshi Indology, Reclaiming Sanskrit Studies, Proceedings of the Swadeshi Indology Conference Series. I don't know where they have gone now. But whereas our Professor R. N. Iyengar is here, he is the doyen of our own Shastric studies, who has studied astrological texts. Parashara Tantra, it is related with the Jyotish Shastra. Narada Shilpa, it is related about the architecture, civil engineering. Now it is about the Mahasalila, and Vedanga Jyotisha he is publishing. And it is history in making, where he has shown that how old Indian texts are, and how Taittiriya Samhita can be dated to the 3000 BC and all other things. So my request to our young colleagues is, we should be careful and we should start writing with all evidence, and we should make the world aware of the Indian heritage and in culture, Indian languages. They should be benefited by our own knowledge, and our aim should be at the production of knowledge rather than discovery of the knowledge. That was the aim of our Rishis. With these few words, I will end, and I welcome today's speakers, Professor R. N. Iyengar and Professor M.D. Srinivas sir and Professor Bill Mack to the stage, and we start with today's lecture on Spujit Dhwajas Yavana Jataka, how old it is. So we can have, directly he can come to the, yes. So he will, now I welcome Professor Ramakrishna Bejattaya to introduce. ಇವ್ರು ಮೂರು ಮಂದಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡೋಣ. ಅದೇ ಇದನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಐ ಎಂಡ್ ಮೈ ಸೆಷನ್. ಹರೇ ರಾಮ 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 ಹರೇ ಹರೇ.